So in this video, we're going to take a look at Motion, a non-Microsoft app, just to have a look at, is this what Microsoft Planner, the new Microsoft Planner, could have been if Microsoft had got their act together. Let's take a look. I'm Gavin Jones, founder and director at MeeTime, where we help organisations be more efficient, happening to get the most out of Microsoft 365. If you're interested in finding out what's possible for your organisation, book a call using the link in the description below. So if you're new to this channel, I pretty much only cover Microsoft products. All the YouTube videos are how to do a specific thing on a specific Microsoft app. If you're an organisation, pragmatically, usually getting the most out of the Microsoft ecosystem is the best thing to do because you're already paying for it. And as you grow, the subscription cost of other services starts to mount up, and actually you can save a bit of money by going into Microsoft, and then usually you can save a lot more time from getting the most out of Microsoft because people just don't set it up right or use it in the right way. There's quite a lot of nuance and a lot of baggage, and that's what I help organizations do in my day job. However, I'm not a Microsoft fanboy. Everything that I own is Apple in the entire house. All my hardware is Apple. But pragmatically, for work, most organizations are going to use Microsoft, which is why I've sort of niched into that. But I'm mostly interested in saving people time at work. And so when I go into an organization, see how they're working to recommend some ways they could work better, I don't just recommend Microsoft things if they're not the right thing to use. But most of the time, for most people in most organizations, they are. But there are always some cases where that isn't the case. But project management, unfortunately, is one of the things that usually falls through the gaps of Microsoft's offerings. So I had 2 calls last week, both on doing project management, and in both cases there's nothing in Microsoft that really does what the person is asking for it to do, without some manual work or without some nuance or without some downsides. And this app I've not used until last week. I had a call, nice lady that I spoke to was saying, explaining what she wanted to do, not beyond the wit of man, just saying, well, how, if I got a task coming in, how do I know how long I can do it for? I need to like block out time on my calendar to do that task. If another task comes in, I need to look at my calendar and then schedule time for that task to know how full I'm going to be. Is that what can Planner or Microsoft Project do? It's like, well, Project's kind of got resource planning, but you need to go and do it manually. It doesn't look in your calendar. And if you wanted to use that for resourcing, you need to go and fill in all the time of every single project and every task. It's just, you still need to do the time blocking things, which is what I recommend doing manually if you're not doing it already. If you're using To-Do or Microsoft Planner, I still recommend, if you're putting stuff in your calendar for the time that you actually want to go and do that task. And the integration of To-Do, you can just drag it onto your calendar. And I'm sure I've got a video on that somewhere if you want to go and have a look. But Motion is not Microsoft. It does integrate into Microsoft. So I've got my, you can see I've got my Windows login here. It's going straight into my Outlook calendar, my work Outlook calendar. And it does everything that I just described that Microsoft doesn't do. It's a task manager, but also works for Teams now. There's also some great features coming, which I saw in this other person's video, which I'll reference down below, that are going to make it even better. And for someone that runs their own business like me, it is invaluable. It's saving me money hiring a PA because I'll show you, it schedules everything in your calendar for you. So I've got a series of tasks here. I've got stuff with Node Project. I've got stuff, I've started messing around with workspaces and projects. I'm just getting onto it myself. But from what I've seen, it is worth doing a video on, because I think, not good for anyone that's not using Microsoft, but if Microsoft just purchased Motion rather than continuing to have all the baggage of projects on the web and Planner, and just bought it and integrated it into Teams, this would be absolutely amazing, groundbreaking. So the general gist is you make a list of tasks. So if I add a new task here, and I don't know, call it a test task, you can in the description put, it's a bit more like free form, unlike Planner. You can have headings if you wanted to, have subheadings. Say this was a recurring task, you could make that task look quite nice. You can have bullets or numbers or checklists. Again, like Planner, the checklists just don't do anything to the task. They just are just maybe just a series of checklists. But that's a bit more obvious here in that because it's free form and you're just typing text. It's more obvious that they wouldn't feed through anywhere, I would say. You can have links, stuff, so you can put your files in by putting links in if you wanted to. But the main thing is this auto scheduling. So basically you say, is it what status is in? So by default you get backlog, to do, in progress, blocked or completed, and it's by default it's going to go into your to do because it assumes you want to do it. You tell the priority, so high, medium, low, or ASAP. It's going to schedule that literally as soon as possible, and you'll see shunt everything around. So all you do is tell it what's the earliest date that you can start. So if you've got a task and you could do it today, then that defaults to today. If there's something you can't start into the future, then obviously you put it into the future, but defaults to today. So all you're really doing is telling you what the task is. You don't need to fill this in, and then telling it what is the date that you want that due by. And then if it misses that deadline, because you've got other stuff scheduled that as a higher priority, say, it's going to tell you, oh, actually, I've moved that onto the next day. And that might be okay for most things, which in my instance it is. But there's some things that you're like, well, I want to get back to a prospect or a client. I want a hard deadline. So I want that needs to fit into that date deadline, whatever happens. So it's going to shunt other stuff around. If you're really up against it, it might schedule stuff out of work time and it'll tell you. But basically you just tell it priority, when you want it due, and how long do you think it's going to take. Say I think this one's going to take 90 minutes. And then you can say, well, if we needed to chunk it down, what's the minimum chunk of time you'd want to do? So I would say like maybe 45 minutes because it's something I need to really focus on. But actually if it's something quite light, maybe you want to chunk it down into 15-minute chunks. Who knows? You do have labels, and unlike Planner, they're not just colours that you need to rename. You can just add the labels as you need them, which would make more sense if Planner did that as well. And then what's cool is you can have different schedules. So I've set my work hours, which vary by day, so you can have a look. So because I've got some childcare, school drop-offs and pickups, actually I can work a bit earlier on a Wednesday than I can, because that's before school club, than I can the other days. And then Friday I do school drop-off and pickup, so it's a bit of a shorter day. And Motion can manage all of that in that work hours. If I want to have some personal tasks, I could schedule like, I don't know, 7 till 8 each night and do it then. I could add on those work hours and have some other blocks of time, maybe after bed, bath, kids time, and then they've gone to sleep and I want to do some more work. I don't usually want to do that because I want to protect my downtime. But that's all you do. So all you needed to do is put the task in, tell it what priority is, tell you the deadline, and then tell you how long it's going to take. And Motion does everything else for you. So create a task. So I had that is for tomorrow. It says auto schedule pending for a little bit, and then it says, right, we've scheduled it for you. It's going to be on Wednesday, the 24th of April that we're going to do that task. And so you just make a list. You've got Kanban views if you want. And you know, it's all very easy to customize, I would say. Seems more intuitive than Planner, which seems fixed to a Kanban board, and then they added lists, which seems a bit of an afterthought. You can change your views, you can set up default views for anything you want, so you can make it look however you want it to look, which is cool. You can actually sort things. Imagine that. You can actually sort things the way that you want them sorted. And the main bit is then in the calendar view. So when you go on to do your tasks, you can see the blue ones are the only thing that I've put in my calendar. So I've got a meeting that someone scheduled, which I think is going to be cancelled, which because they put the wrong email in. So I'll show you what happens when stuff moves around in a sec. I've got to take my son to school, and I've got some networking events later in the week. Everything else is a task that Motion has scheduled for me based on how long I say it's going to take, I think it's going to take, and the due date and the priority. So you see it's got like, I've got some outreach to do, that's high priority, so it's scheduled it earlier in the day. I'll also show you this blocking thing, so I've got record, edit, and some things have slipped past the deadline. Look, got new videos on Microsoft at Work coming out every week, so make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified every time one of those comes out. So all of that's done for me. If I flip onto my calendar, that also interacts. You can change the setting, but it also interacts back into your Outlook calendar. So it's scheduling time in my calendar. So if I closed Motion, I can still see, which I wouldn't do because it's the main thing that I'm using for my work now. it's putting stuff in the calendar for me. If it's stuff that it thinks that I can move around and still hit the deadline, it marks it as free. If it's something that's at risk of missing the deadline, it blocks out as busy. So no one else can go and stick a meeting over that, which I think is really cool. But it also doesn't block out your entire calendar if it thinks that actually you're still going to get those things done. Even if something else comes in, it keeps those as free, assuming that a meeting would be higher priority than those. So the way it works, I think, is just very intuitive, and most of the time is like, well, that's how I would expect it to work. That is cool, which sometimes isn't the case with Microsoft, which is why I try and help organizations out getting some of the nuances out, because sometimes it doesn't work how you might expect. So the cool thing is that it's going to move things around for you. So I've not done this task. Also, the default is that you don't see completed tasks, and I've turned it on for now. But I didn't do this because I was researching this video before I did it. I haven't done this task because I'm recording the video right now. So what I could have done is, say, this record one, I can click on here and I'm going to say start task now, because that's the task I'm doing now. So even if it schedules stuff in the wrong order, it's going to get it mostly right because you've already told it priority. So you could either go into it and say, well, actually, that's not a medium priority, that's a high priority. Or you could change it to say, well, I want it done ASAP. You could just say, well, I don't want to change the priorities, I just fancy doing this task first. And that's cool, that's okay. You can just say, start task now, and it's going to move it and schedule everything around, which I'll show you in a sec. The one thing though, this meeting's gonna get cancelled, so let's delete that because they booked on with the wrong email address and got a bounce back. Would you like to send email updates to guests? Well, no, because they're not going to get it because it's the wrong email that they signed up with. Don't send. So we deleted that task, and then you see quite quickly it's then rescheduled everything around that. One little bug that I've noticed, which hopefully Motion can fix, I put added travel time for that meeting because I like to do prep either side, so I'm not really traveling, it's just sat here. But I like to have prep before and prep afterwards, and sometimes that doesn't show in Motion after you put it in, and it's kept those time slots in my calendar. So if I just go and delete those manually, you can then see it's gonna reschedule stuff within that time now that that's gone, and you can sort of manually force it to with this refresh all tasks. But you see it's sort of doing it anyway. It's just I didn't click that then. It just I just had it hovered over. It's rejigged everything for me based on we've had extra time from that meeting disappearing. Motion just moves all your tasks around for you and schedules time to do them. So here's everything shunted round after we deleted that meeting. Test task is scheduled for then. If actually we decided actually it wasn't medium priority, it was high, it would start to move some of those things around to make sure we got that task done. But obviously it knows that we're gonna do it anyway. I think these are high and these have slipped the deadline from before, so it might not actually move it. And if I just jump onto some sort of notion of timeline and dependencies, is that it's got blocks and blockers. So if we go on to record, just like a little flow example, I could do this for each video if I wanted to. So it's medium. I think recording is going to take 45 minutes. Say it's blocks editing. If we click on edit is blocked by recording, and then blocks publishing. Similarly, it goes through the flow. Can't publish it until I've edited it, etc. And then Motion then knows that I can't do one without the other. So we've got record scheduled before edit. Edit's got a little cross next to it saying it's blocked by record. And we could go and change the priority to try and shunt it up the day, or we could just go and pick the thing that we just want to do. So just fancy doing recording ahead of outreach because maybe it's more important, but they're both high priority, say, I don't know. But maybe just like I've just got the energy to do recording, and outreach is actually just firing stuff off to people. Say I can just click start task now. It says how long you're going to work on it. Well, if we don't know, we just leave it the same length as the task. And if we stop it halfway through, say I get interrupted, need to do something else, or need to go make a coffee, I can stop that task. It says, well, how long you worked on it so far? 5 minutes. do you want another 40 minutes to go? Like, yeah, cool, and it'll schedule the next 40 minutes for you. So I like that feature, that's pretty cool. But you can see I said we're starting on this task right now. It's just shunted it to now and moved everything else around, given all the parameters that we've fed it. So it says it uses AI. I think it's more like an algorithm of like, let's just try and schedule stuff based on priority and time and importance, whatever. But say we've done recording, we can either just complete that task. I like to stop it just because I'm a bit anal in sort of time tracking. I want to know how long things take me so I can improve the accuracy of scheduling time later on. If I stop that task, it says I worked on it for a minute, and how much more time have you got? Well, actually, I don't need any, so we'll stop. It says, oh, do you want no more tasks? Do you want to mark this task completed? Yes, I do. And then record then is done, and it'll reschedule everything else so we can get more done in the day. Edit. If we hover over it, it says it's blocked by record, but now record has been done. If we re-hover over it, look, it says all blockers are completed and it's ready to start. And so if we wanted to just keep going on the same thread of doing video, we could just move that to start now. If we wanted a break, we could go and do some other stuff, process emails, do some other stuff. But if we want to start the editing now, we'll start. It's actually messing up my day because I do need to do these tasks today, so I need to go back through and untick all these from when I finish the video. We'll start the editing. It shunts everything around after a couple of seconds to say, well, yeah, you're working on that now, let's reschedule everything else. And you can see that task we put in that we said we wouldn't mind splitting down into 45-minute chunks. Actually, we've got 45 minutes today and 45 minutes tomorrow. Now we made it high priority, it's bumped it up the order of when we're going to do things. So I think that's really powerful. It works for teams. So I guess the main thing about task management across teams or managing a project is you don't know when things can be done, and neither do the individuals, because they probably are not doing time blocking in their calendar for the existing tasks they got. So most people's calendars in most sort of corporate jobs is just an absolute free-for-all of anyone just putting meetings in with you, and you never get the things done that you actually need to get done. So time blocking helps with that, and then Motion helps automate that time blocking. So it is like having a PA for very cheap. If you think about the cost of a PA versus the cost of Motion, it's way worth it for me in what I'm doing, and might be worth it for what you're doing as well. I guess the point of this video is, there's just so much. Microsoft's big into AI. Microsoft should be a leader in project management given the history of Microsoft Project. It seems like they're just messing around the edges, like putting Copilot into Planner where it can just write some tasks for you. That's not useful, as I mentioned in my previous videos. Having time block stuff out in your calendar is very useful, especially when you go across teams, because you can assign something to someone else and it goes and assigns that task in their calendar, and everybody can see if that task is available to be done on time or not, or what else is going to get shunted out. So it's like program and project management all in one, because it integrates with everyone's calendar. It's super powerful. And I'm really excited about all the other stuff that is shown in this other video that I'll just show on screen right now, where hopefully they're planning to do some timeline views, some flows where you can drag it between different statuses, and it's going to do some automations for you, I guess, in that like reassigning it to people. So say you've got like the creative workflow, I record the video, I then put it onto my editor, if I drag it to editing, it's going to reassign it to the editor, assign that amount of time, and say when the deadline is, all automatically. You can obviously do that now manually. It's still less manual than doing it through another app, but you need to like reassign it, change the time, change the date, and it's going to put it onto their calendar. You can still see when that's going to be done for everybody, but that sort of automated flow is coming, which people also want to do in Planner. So maybe have a look at Motion. Let me know if you wish that this was the new Planner like I do. If you're going to try Motion, let me know in the comments below. If you want me to do more videos on Motion, then let me know in the comments below as well. Happy to let you know my experiences. If there's anything I missed, then let me know. What do you think? Is Motion the new Microsoft Planner? Are you going to try it? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, before you leave, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and the bell icon to get notified every time a new video comes out. We've got new videos on Microsoft at Work coming out every week. If you need more help with Microsoft, consider joining the channel, where you get quicker access to comments and questions, early access to videos, or even live Q&A with me in the highest tier, and some members only video training. And if you need help for your entire organization, book a call using the link in the description below, or come in, see how you're working together and recommend some ways you could work better, predominantly in the Microsoft ecosystem, but also, as you've seen, if that's not the right thing to do, we also recommend some other apps as well. And thanks for watching so far. We'll see you in the next video.